Hey, let's get right to it. Part 2 of my opinion, response, whatever, to the Atlantic article, Why I Hope to Die at 75. This was published in 2014. Look at the first video where I began the article. I want to continue where I left off. So let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Lisa Ann Homick from Homick Advanced Chiropractic, and I'm also the creator of the Brain First Protocol, because if you put the brain first, your body will follow. Brain first is body freedom. So Ezekiel Emanuel, a busy doctor, has decided that he hopes to die at 75. If he doesn't, he's just going to continue living and not do any big medical approaches for himself. He's not going to pursue a lot of medical care. And he says, because it's not important at this point in time, and once you reach age 75, you're not as productive and whatnot. So, continuing on, let me be clear about my wish. I'm neither asking for more time than is likely, nor foreshortening my life. Today I am, as far as my physician and I know, I'm very healthy with no chronic illness. I just climbed Kilimanjaro with 2 of my nephews, so I'm not talking about bargaining with God to live to 75. Oh, this always happens. To live to 75 because I have a terminal illness. Nor am I talking about waking up one morning 18 years from now and ending my life through euthanasia or suicide. Since the 1990s, I've actively opposed legalizing euthanasia and physician-assisted suicide. People who want to die in one of these ways tend to suffer from not from unremitting pain, but from depression, hopelessness, and fear of losing their dignity and control. The people they leave behind inevitably feel they have somehow failed. The answer to these symptoms is not ending a life, but getting help. I have long argued that we should focus on giving all terminally ill people a good, compassionate death, not euthanasia or assisted suicide for a tiny minority. So let's dive into that. He says when he reaches 75, he's not going to bargain with God if he has a terminal illness. He's not going to end his life, and he does not believe that euthanasia is actually beneficial to society. And I like what he's saying here. Most people don't, they're not suffering from unremitting pain, the people who want to die. They're suffering from depression, hopelessness, and fear of losing their dignity and control. So a lot of this is mostly fear, not how am I going to tolerate, how am I going to put up with this or stand this, but I don't like the depression. So people don't like that emotional challenge that they're dealing with. But that's workable. Unremitting pain may not be solvable, but depression and hopelessness, you can find avenues of help with that. Fear of losing dignity, fear of losing control. I mean, those are real concerns, but they shouldn't overtake your life, and there's a way of dealing with that if you're getting help from the right person. If you're asking for the right kind of help for mental health, that is a viable option. Let me continue. I'm talking about how long I want to live and the kind of amount of health care I will consent to after 75. Let me pause this. And I'm back. Sorry, I forgot to turn the phone down. Somebody's going to answer or respond to my response to their question, so I may be pausing again. But where was I? I'm talking about how long I want to live. This is Dr. Emanuel. So, and he's going to change the amount of health care he pursues once he reaches the age of 75, which is interesting. It's worth a discussion. Why not? Americans seem to be obsessed with exercising, doing mental puzzles, consuming various juices and protein concoctions, sticking to strict diets, and popping vitamins and supplements, all in a valiant effort to cheat death and prolong life as long as possible. This has become so pervasive that it now defines a cultural type, what I call the American immortal. Sounds a little bit like orthorexia. Isn't that the term they gave to people who are gung-ho on all things healthy and natural? A health nut, I guess we used to call them back in the 80s and 70s. I reject this aspiration. So he rejects pursuing the American immortal. I think this manic desperation to endlessly extend life is misguided and potentially destructive for many reasons. 75 is a pretty good age to aim to stop. Okay, I just answered the person on my text, and then I got a scam text. All of a sudden now I'm getting all kinds of advertisements through texting. What fun! What fun is all that? So let me go back to what he said. He's going to do less health care at age 75 because he would rather not be obsessed with exercising, doing mental puzzles, consuming various juices and protein. So let me put myself here. I am not obsessed with exercise. I know I need to do it. It's not my favorite thing. It used to be, but now I've got more on my plate, and it's not my favorite activity anymore. But I need to put a little more discipline into it. Mental puzzles, no way. Not even, no. I'm not interested in that. I can't even do a word search. Forget it. Not my favorite thing. But I do like to read. I do like to listen to podcasts. And I think those are good mental exercises. Consuming juices and protein concoctions, no. I used to, but that's not my thing anymore. Especially protein. Protein drinks. They're all processed foods, so that's not my thing anymore. Vitamins and supplements, yes. Strict diets, we always go up and down because we have holidays, we have whatever going on. Strict diet, I'm not strict. I hate to say it. I should be. Supplements, yes. Everybody should be taking supplements because the food supply is depleted thanks to the soil being depleted and the travel time it takes to get fresh food to the store. So definitely supplementation, but you got to get the right quality. And I'm going to tell you, I have that in my office, and everyone's going to say, oh, you're just trying to make money. I'm just going to go to Walmart. Well, good luck with that. I have to pause again. Got to respond to the text. The next topic that he goes toward is, he says this: Americans may live longer than their parents, but they are likely to be more incapacitated. Does that sound very desirable? Not to me. So for the next number of paragraphs, he goes into detail statistically what the life expectancy was in 1900 and then later and da-da-da-da. So we are living longer, and he says life has gotten longer, but has it gotten healthier? Is 70 the new 50? So he's debating that next. So let's jump to where he talks about increasing the number of years may not be beneficial because those added years to your life may be filled with more disability. So he gives his father as an example. About a decade ago, just shy of his dad's 77th birthday, he began having pain in his abdomen. Like every good doctor, he kept denying that it was anything important, but after 3 weeks with no improvement, he was persuaded to see his physician. He had, in fact, had a heart attack, which led to a cardiac catheterization and ultimately bypass. Since then, he has not been the same. But I think we understand that any kind of surgery, you may not always be the same after that. Once the prototype of a hyperactive Emanuel, Suddenly, his walking, his talking, his humor got slower. Today, he can swim, read the paper, needle his kids on the phone, and still live with my mother in their own house. But everything seems sluggish. Although he didn't die from the heart attack, no one would say he is living a vibrant life. When he discussed it with me, my father said, I have slowed down tremendously. That is a fact. I no longer make rounds at the hospital or teach. Despite this, he said he was happy. Okay, let's talk about recovering from a heart attack. The jury is still not out on what causes a heart attack. We blame diet, we blame stress, we blame plaque, we blame cholesterol. So if he's following the medical protocol, he's on a whole slew of drugs that interfere with his uptake of nutrients. And I'm sure there's things he can do for that. Maybe he is doing that. I don't know. But recovering from a heart attack is unique. But I get it. When he says he's still happy, he's doing less, but he's fine with that. And now our author talks about the statistics on stroke. Some people recover well, some people don't. Most people don't. There's a lot of disability. Even if you are your life is saved, you do lose some function. Same thing with Alzheimer's. There's a lot. The statistics are showing things aren't good once you're over 85, over 65. So I'm not going to go into all the details. He does take note that the average age when a Nobel Prize is won, these are usually around age 48. And in fact, he says by age 75, creativity, originality, and productivity are pretty much gone for the vast, vast majority of us. Einstein famously said, a person who has not made his great contribution to science before the age of 30 will never do so. He was extreme in his assessment and wrong. And then he talks about just the creativity, when the age of famous composers, when did they complete their first major works? And it's not sounding too good that you don't do much past age 52. We're not as creative. No, I don't know about that. Do you think society puts some pressure on us or has an expectation that, well, you've done enough, don't overdo it, you're going to retire soon? Or maybe people just get busy raising a family, and once they have their kids out of the house, they have the time to pursue that again. I don't know. He didn't mention that in the article, but he does talk about how the nervous system, the neural connections that are most heavily used are reinforced and retained, while those that are rarely, if ever, used atrophy and disappear over time. So he's talking about brain plasticity. We do not get totally rewired, and as we age, we forge a very extensive network of connections established throughout a lifetime of experiences, thoughts, feelings, actions, and memories. We are subject to who we have been. It is difficult, if not impossible, to generate new creative thoughts because we don't develop a new set of neural connections that can supersede the existing network. It is much more difficult for older people to learn new languages. More difficult, but not impossible. All of those mental puzzles are an effort to slow the erosion of the neural connections we have. Once you squeeze the creativity out of the neural networks established over your initial career, they are not likely to develop strong new brain connections. But he makes the point that a lot of the older people, they may not be publishing, in the medical field, they may not be publishing new scientific research, but they are now teaching and they're mentoring, and their life may be slowing down, but they have taken on a new type of activity that involves maybe less competition, less pressure, but just as fulfilling and enjoyable. So maybe the next chapter is just different. It doesn't have to be the same. every decade. It doesn't have to be as intense. It can be new. It can be exciting. Embrace different and embrace the changes that your brain is going through, because you may think you're losing in one aspect, but aren't you gaining in another side? So let's continue video number 3, because I'm going to stop here and follow along. Catch up on video 1 if you haven't seen it. Take a look at my booklet, You Don't Have a Disease, You Have a Nervous System. That's on Amazon. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you at the next video. Thank you for watching.